Welcome back to Gibbo MMA. We have just concluded UFC Vegas 107, and wow, what a anticlimactic ending to the event. Maycee Barber pulls out just before the walkout, literally last second, due to a medical issue, and Erin Blanchfield was stuck in the back when Hunter Campbell came by and said to her, the fight's off. Maycee's had some sort of seizure, allegedly. I don't think it's fully confirmed, but that's what's going around. And so, yeah, the fight gets cancelled, and here we are. So, this show I'm just going to quickly recap UFC Vegas 107, what went down, do a little bit of UFC 316, that's coming up this weekend, Merab versus Sean O'Malley, and just some around the grounds other news. But yeah, starting with the cancelled main event. I was pretty looking forward to it for this women's one, top flyweight, top 5 flyweights. And yeah, Maycee was, really confident. I like Erin Blanchfield. I think, she was the favorite. I think she was going to win it regardless. But yeah, what a turn of events. Maycee Barber, she missed weight by half a pound. Apparently she got some sort of breast implants, boob job sort of thing, and people saying, oh, that's the reason she missed weight. But yeah, and then apparently she's known to have past year or so, health issues going through a bit, and before the fight, a week or two, or the fight week, Erin Blanchfield in an interview said, I'm hoping she just shows up. I'm not surprised if she doesn't show up. And yeah, literally all the way down to the last, they're about to walk. They did the full little fight preview before they walk out. They did the little feature on the broadcast, and then all of a sudden they pan to Brandon Fitzgerald, and he's like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, it looks like the fight's might be off, and then ad break. So yeah, what a crazy turn of events. I watched the whole card. I started at the first fight, which in Australian Eastern Time started at 8:30 a.m. I watched the very first fight, and coming into this, I was like, just gotta get through this card. It wasn't nothing really exciting leading up to it, and I was like, this is the MMA content game, so you got to watch it all, and got through it. And then I was like, all right, we get through the co-main, Matus Gamrot, and then I'm like, right, this is finally what we've been waiting for. And then yeah, massive anticlimactic turn of events with Maycee Barber unfortunately having to pull out, so she wasn't medically cleared to fight. So before and what's going on now, because there's just not much context around it, you don't want to be too harsh on Maycee. It's a very delicate situation by the sounds of it, and yeah, you don't want to be super critical. Erin Blanchfield was not too happy. She says, she doesn't want to fight her, doesn't want to rebook it, and understandably, she's ready to go, all warmed up, going through it all mentally, trying to get, in the zone, and, you're just about to go into a fight, you're all amped up, and then, you've been leading up to this fight or your training camp, and then right before you're about to walk out, boom, fight's off. So that's got to be, what a roller coaster of emotions that is. But yeah, just want to be pretty delicate on it. Don't want to be too critical or harsh on Maycee Barber, because yeah, with these health things, you don't know what's going on. We've got no context. We haven't heard from her, and yeah, it's just unfortunate. So yeah, I hope she's doing well. It's going to be a tough, the next week or so is going to be pretty tough trying to, come back from this, and yeah, there's going to be a lot of hate coming our way. But yeah, I think just got to be mindful and not be saying too many judgments or thoughts on it without much context or behind getting the real story on what's happened. Because yeah, we're not in her position, so yeah, I'm not gonna really go too much on hard in the paint on Maycee Barber, because yeah, I got really no idea. Apparently it was a seizure, so yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, so like, yeah, we just don't really know, and yeah, no one's in her shoes. This is like never happened really. Like DC, they had the cameras on the broadcast was just on DC, Lorosenko, Brandon Fitzgerald, and they're all just like, what the heck? Like, what's just happened? This has never happened. Like, yeah, it was pretty wild to watch and then see them reacting to it. And yeah, what a wild turn of events. And it's almost sparked more news and talk around this main event than anything, even if just whoever won or whatever. Like, this has just created massive media headlines, and more than if Blanchfield, who was favourite to just go in there and get a win. So yeah, unfortunate turn of events. The closest it got to was the other week with Paul Craig and against Beldato. I forgot his name. Like, literally 20 minutes before the fight, they're warming up, and the guy had like a big rash of herpes or something on his neck 20 minutes before the fight. So Paul Craig was, he's just gone through that similar situation. So that, past couple of weeks we've had two late pullouts, and yeah. Yeah, so pretty wild time, not wild time, but just crazy back-to-back sort of turn of events of late pullouts. Like, usually it's a week or a few days, or at the weigh-ins if someone doesn't make weight, but right before you're about to walk out, that's and at this level, that's pretty insane for that to happen. So yeah, I can't really break down that much. All I can say is Aaron Blanchfield, I guess, I don't think, who knows what Maycee Barber's doing here on out, but yeah, I don't think it makes sense for Aaron Blanchfield to have to rebook and fight with her after what she just got put through. So I'm thinking either Alexo Grasso coming off a win, or Natalia Silva. Aaron Blanchfield could fight next. So yeah, Blanchfield ranked 4, Grasso ranked 3. I think that's probably the fight to make for Blanchfield next. Natalia Silva is ranked 1. She could be calling for a title shot against Valentina Shevchenko, who in fact was in attendance, Valentina. So she was, looking at maybe some fresh meat who she might have to fight next. And and I feel sorry for the people who paid what could have been almost $2,000 to go watch the fights at the Apex, because it's around that much to get that experience for a ticket. Almost $2,000 to go to the Apex. So yeah, your main event for that fight was then Matus Gamrot, who is a rank 7 lightweight, and was a 3-round fight. And yeah, not much to really talk about that, but yeah, wow, just something new every day in MMA. Like, yeah, it's just one of those sports where like there's just so many factors that play into everything, and yeah, like there's just always something new or something happening, unfortunate turn of events. And yeah, it's because it's just so much goes into this, into the sport. Like, it's so many variables, and yeah, so it's never a dull moment really. Moving. So Matuz Gamrot ends up being the co-main. Was the co-main, but ends up, I guess, was the main event. Not technically not, but yeah, 3 rounds. He gets a decision win over Ludwig Klein. Just a textbook Gamrot win. Wins its first 2 rounds with just heavy grappling and dominance, and then the 3rd round just kind of keeps it on the feed, and just throws a bit of hands, and just gets a nice decision win. And then I'll go into the bonuses of the night. So we had fight of the night, went to the very first fight of the card, which was Elise Adeline and Rianne Dos Santos. So that was, for the women's to get fight of the night, congrats to them. It was just a slugfest. It was, it was a good watch. It's very hard in the women's fights that you see knockouts. So they were just all landing clean, a lot like the way they were slugging it out. It would have been good to see a finish, but they get fight of the night. And then performance of the night went to Jordan Levitt. He had over a year out of the octagon. If you don't know who he is, you might know he's the guy that usually twerks on the cage after a win. We didn't see that this time. DC put him on the spot and asked if he had a new celebration, and he ended up doing the worm, which it was actually really good. So well done to Jordan Levitt. He came in and got a takedown in the first 30 seconds, and just absolutely obliterated the guy and then submitted him. So well done to him. And the other bonus performance of the night, 50k, went to Ramiz Brahimaj. I thought he almost killed the guy when he put him to sleep. The guy was just limp, and he just dropped him down on the ground, and the guy just heads, neck and all just snapped back, and he was out. He didn't wake up for almost a minute. Like he was gone. So overall the card, just a typical Apex card. Nothing too out of the ordinary, except for the main event getting cancelled last minute. Glad we got through it, and we can look to now Merab and Sean O'Malley next weekend. Nothing too crazy about this card. A lot of sort of decisions, and glad we got that one in the books. It was a little bit of a tough watch with the broadcast. I had some issues, before the prelims started, one of the girls on the broadcast started breaking down the prelim fights, and they had the main card fights showing up on the broadcast. So you got all the main card names, and she's previewing the prelims, and then she does all that and then realizes, oh, sorry, did the wrong one. It was just like, oh god, this is so even before we even kicked off, it was off to a little bad start. And one of the big errors coming off the broadcast was lovely Minty Betts. She gets up there in the Apex cards and gives her little hot tip, and she's always been good and gives you those little tips and what she's betting on. And so she's going through a bet and then realizes she's talking about the wrong bet and just got it completely wrong. And just it was live TV, this shit happens, and just who knows, it could have been the people working the teleprompter just had up, or the producers just got it wrong, and then she's thinking I'm doing this, and what's behind is so I think it would just look like a communication, and it just sucks because you're the one on TV having to go through it and you're the one that looks like it's all your fault. So it's just broadcast issues, and they had Juliana Pena and Kayla Harrison interview. They panned to that, and then it just froze, and then they're like, "Oh, we'll come back to that." All around, just not a great performance on ESPN, and with that, Bruce Buffer was also working the card. He was the announcer, so he had one of the greatest announcers of all time, working the shitty Apex card. I mean, easy night for him, easy money, but you go from its time in a sold out 20,000 arena to 100 people, and pretty bad. So usually got Joe Martinez in. He's great. He's heavily underrated, so he must have been away on holidays or another event. He's usually at the Apex, and Buffer just does the big arena shows. So we were on. It was pretty. We got Bruce Buffer, probably going to be one of the worst Apex cards of all time. So UFC Vegas 107 in the books. Don't really want to spend too much time. I think that's about it on the Vegas 107. We got some cool knockouts. Dustin Jacoby, he's been going well. He absolutely brutalized Bruno Lopez, starched him. That was a fun watch. Ketlin Vera versus Maycee Chiasson. That was, their top contender bantamweights, and that was very much, just 3 rounds of, Ketlin Vera got the win. Maycee Chiasson, she's got good hands, and just got stuck on the ground, and just got that grappling, just got her, and couldn't get that knockout that she was after. We got a very middleweighty fight in Zach Reese and Dusko Todorovic. People didn't think this was going to make the distance. It ends up being a decision because, typical first round. They just gas out, and then the next 2 is just slow pace. And that's what we saw. And there was a good fight with Balaji Oki versus Michael Aswell. I probably thought that could have got fight of the night. Those guys are just scrapping. Aswell on short notice, moving up to the lightweight, from featherweight to take this fight. Has an absolute chin, man. I bet on Oki to get a knockout, which was paying $2.50, and this Aswell guy's got a chin. So it was a great fight, even though Aswell lost. Went to the decision though, and showed how tough he is. But so Vegas 107 in the books, and I'm going to move on to UFC 316. Merab Dvalishvili versus Sean O'Malley coming up next weekend at Newark Prudential Center. So they're rematching. So they previously fought at UFC Noche last year at the Sphere, which got some Emmy Awards for the production of it. But this main event, this title fight for Merab, people were pretty not much were excited when they announced this, because they didn't think Sean deserved it because he hasn't fought since. Looks like he's just been kind of injured, but you'd think he'd have to go out and fight to get a rematch, but he's got an immediate rematch. Merab has gone off and defended already against that famous Umar Nurmagomedov win. I got a feeling this is just going to go the same as last time. Just 50-45 or 49-46. Just Merab doing Merab things, just going out dominating the grappling, takedowns. He doesn't mind if you get back up because he just wants to wear you down. And I got a feeling that's what we're going to see again. Or for Sean, his key to victory. the other way it plays out is he just completely starches Merab, just flatlines him. Like, I feel like that's the two ways it's gonna go. Yeah, like Sean, he's come out and said he's been grinding hard. No more weed, no more gaming, no more jerking off, on a new whole regime. You know, you like to hear those things, but you hear a lot of those. You hear a lot of that talk when people come off losses and they're trying to get back in the win column, and they say they've been doing all the right things, and you know, you start to believe it, and then, you know, sometimes it just, you know, Conor McGregor, for example, like, he does all the talk. He says, you know, been doing this and that, changed this up, and then, you know, he goes in and gets mauled by Khabib, gets knocked out, gets TKO'd by Mayweather. You know, I'm as fit as ever, and no one's gonna stop me. You know, and then gets beat by Poirier back-to-back times, and so like he hit, like, because I'm a big fan of McGregor, and you know, you kind of get a bit, you start to lose that trust a little bit in those big talkers, and you know, I'm doing all the right things, saying all the right things, but when you see the results and, you know, they end up losing, you like, yeah, it's just a fight game, I guess. But, you know, hearing Sean say that, it just brings me back to that, and whether, you know, it doesn't matter you've been doing all of this, because, you know, this guy Merab's Merab. But there has been one time, a few times, I guess, where this talk has come off, and that was when McGregor got submitted by Diaz in the first fight. He went away, and then he came back. So, you know, you should have killed me when you had the chance. And McGregor said, because I'm back, and I'm going to... And then he ended up, you know, beating Diaz in the rematch at 170 as well. So, you know, that talk has come to fruition. But yeah, Merab, heavy favourite. Like... He's the only concern I have for Merab is if he's burnt out and just going to be underdone a bit. Like, you know, he's been on a pretty tough schedule. He had that 5-round war with Umar. Like, that would take a bit out of you regardless. You know, he didn't get knocked out. Like, he won by decision, but gone 5 rounds at that pace, and just the way he trains and the way he fights, like, I'm just wondering if this is going to finally, his body will just conk out on him, because it's insane, you know, the machine he calls himself. I wonder if the machine's going to break down this fight. Because, yeah, that pace, yeah, I'm just questioning the durability now, where he's at. Because how old is he? He's 34 years old. And... yeah, Sean, he's 30 odd, and yeah, like that's my only concern for Merab is, like, you know, he's at the prime now, but like, you know, people are always coming into these big fights now hurt. Like Sean O'Malley against Aljamain Sterling, Sean had like a broken rib or something and didn't grapple or wrestle at all for like 6 weeks leading into the fight. And like he won, but like a lot of these people are coming in hurt. I'm just wondering how Merab's body's gonna hold up after, you know, the way he trains and the way he fights, like how much he puts his body through, and all the crazy stuff he does as well outside of the cage, running, you know, looking over cliffs and doing backflips here and diving in head first into frozen lakes. Like, that's my only concern, and where I do see Sean, you know, being good value and winning, and I just starching him, because Merab's been dropped. Like Henry Cejudo caught him well, and yeah, it's you know, it's slowly, once you start breaking it down, you know, makes me I started to get more excited about this fight, because I was just like, oh, it's just going to be the same as the first fight. You know, Sean needs to just get him rebooked, because, you know, he's got a big name, more of a pay-per-view pull, like he pulls in more pay-per-view. So Merab wasn't, he was almost happy, he was almost calling for this fight because it's like, yep, gonna get more pay-per-view points and easy fight for him. So yeah, and moving to the co-main, we got Kayla Harrison versus Juliana Pena, women's bantamweight title fight. Harrison's got 2 fights in the UFC now, 2 wins, and now she's got a title fight. So I think, and then yeah, Pena's coming off that close decision win against Pennington. People think Pennington won, but yeah, I think Harrison's just going to steamroll her, get that submission. Just being that she has that judo background, I think, yeah, she's just muscly and jacked and powerful. So I think, yeah, that's going to be, I think more so Pena's going to try and piece her up a little bit. But yeah, I think Harrison's just going to dominate. She's just, yeah, just a physical force. And then going down the main card, Gastelum versus Pfeiffer. So this was supposed to be, this fight has got cancelled and rescheduled to now from UFC Mexico, March 29th. So Pfeiffer had to pull out due to illness against Gastelum. I think he got like bad food poisoning or something and full went on a tear saying, I'm never coming back to Mexico. This place sucks. Yeah, he like full did the acclimation and getting, you know, the altitude training done, and then got full illness and stuff. So this fight's now on the main card of a pay-per-view, him versus Kelvin Gastelum. I think Pfeiffer's just going to absolutely knock Kelvin Gastelum out. Yeah, because Gastelum just, yeah, he's been bouncing between welterweight and middleweight, and he's back to middleweight. But yeah, so because the last fight was against Daniel Rodriguez, which he won, decision win, and then before that was Sean Brady, lost via Kimura. So what's interesting about this matchup is Joe Pfeiffer and Sean Brady train together, training partners. So Sean Brady will be able to fill him in on tips and tricks and how to win it. So yeah, I think this is going to be a first round knockout for Joe Pfeiffer, I think. And then moving on to Patchy Mix versus Mario Bautista. So Patchy Mix makes his much-awaited UFC debut. He was a former Bellator champ. So he just got signed the other week, and then now is booked for Mario Bautista. I think there's going to be a grapple heavy fight. Patchy said he's going to be doing this for Jose Aldo because infamously Mario Bautista beat Aldo. Some say it was a robbery, just had him up against the cage and that was it. But yeah, I think that's just going to be a grapple heavy bout. Patchy Mix is going to be looking for that submission and then might be calling for a title fight. So that's the main card of 316. It's it's not a big star-studded pay-per-view event. Like, you got 2 title fights on the line, just like we had. It's pretty much just a replication of 315. So you had the men's title fight main event, not massive names, JDM versus Bilal. I think JDM is going to be a huge name now and moving on, but leading up to it, he wasn't, that big pay-per-view, it just wasn't that big name yet. And then you had the women's co-main title fight with Shevchenko Feriot. And then I feel like this is the same again, like Merab and Sean. Like, Sean's a big name, Merab is getting bigger, and then you've got the women's title fight as the co-main. But on this card, some fighters to look out for that are going to be great fights is starting off with Australia's own Quillan Salkild. This guy is former Australian eternal lightweight champ. He last fought, I believe it was in Sydney. He got on the Duplessis card, so he kicked off the card and got a 19-second round one knockout over Anshul Jubilee. This guy knows how to mix the martial arts, Quillen. He's from Perth as well, where Jack Della's from. So he's on the early prelims, so he's a fighter to look out for, and I'd definitely be tuning in early for that fight. I think he's going to be, in the next 5 years, going to be a UFC world champ. Yeah, he's very well rounded, and just doing his UFC run, doing that process. So yeah, easily in the next 5 years, I think he's going to be UFC champ. Like, he's only 25 years old, so within the next 5 years, I think, Godspeed health and, goes unscathed with injuries. I think he's going to be that future lightweight champ in the new era once we get past, Topuria and Islam and all that. I think once all those guys are gone, I think you could even see Quillen fight Topuria if Topuria is still around, fighting at lightweight, defending if he eventually gets there and beats Charles Topuria. And I think Quillen could be this young and up and comer that might take him off the throne, just like Topuria did the walkout featherweight. So yeah, I got big raps on this guy. So he's a definitely must watch. And also flyweight Joshua Van. This guy is never in a boring fight. He just has heavy boxing, great hands, and he's a must watch fight for sure on the prelims. Joshua Van. He's also definitely a future former flyweight champ if he keeps winning. He did lose to one of my other favorite flyweights in Charles Johnson. He was winning 2 rounds, and then he got knocked out in the third. But he's only young as well. He's only 23 years old, Joshua Van, but he's coming off a decision win. He almost got the knockout finish. He was doing those nice teeps against Ray Saruya, and then he complained about it being a low shot, but it wasn't. So he was pretty much going to go down to a body teep kick, and then the ref called time, but it was actually a clean blow. So he should have got a finish there actually. But yeah, he's on a 3-fight win streak. He would be on a, like in the UFC, he would be one, two, three. He'd be on a 6-fight win streak if it just wasn't for that loss to Charles Johnson. So yeah, Joshua Van on the prelims. That's definitely my other fighter to tune in for. But in some around the grounds, other news going around outside the cage, Conor McGregor, you've been seeing a lot of photos and footage him posting about his local soccer football team, the Black Forge Inn team he plays for, and yeah, it just shows you like there's more to fighting, like just in life, like. He's always been a soccer football fan, and it's pretty cool to see like the guy who's at, as famous as you are and what you've done in your, career, and like been a multiple time world champ, and, very wealthy now, and, going down to like almost, grassroots local football league, and, sponsoring the team, and, and just getting out there and playing, and it's pretty humbling, pretty cool to see like this guy who's done all these things, he's famous, all this, but then to just be like, oh, like I want to play soccer, and just still be a normal person, and to go play with just other normal people, and it's pretty cool to see, and hopefully really humanizes him a bit, because he has this persona, of course, and so that's you see all and hear all the things about, oh, when's he gonna fight next and blah blah blah. Like, I think he's just living life. Like, he's just, he's done it all, and like, it's, the fans just selfishly want to see him fight again. Like, you do want to, but people think you're going to be getting 2016 Conor McGregor, but you're just not. Like, you just got to remember, like, he's getting older. He's like 35 now, and I think he's just living, just trying to enjoy life as much as possible. So, and literally this morning, we had the Champions League, and I see video footage of Khabib Nurmagomedov on the panel after the game, because he was in there in support of PSG. And then you see I Show Speed live streamer on the panel with him, and you're just like, we're definitely in a simulation. Like, you got this pound for pound, one of the greatest fighters of all time on the desk, CBS or whatever it was for the Champions League, and then you got I Show Speed, this live streamer. He deserves to be there because of what he does and the attention and growth he has. But it's just funny seeing them two together, and Speed was just like, I'll take you on, and doing what he does, and then Habib's like, just remember, there's no one in between us. Like, you're in my world now. And like, it was just cool to see that reminder. Like, and it's good these fighters, kind of let these people know, like, hey, like, you want to talk, but hey, like, just remember, like, if you can't back it up, just simmer down a bit. Like, there's no one between us. With fighters, you don't want to just solely use your strengths and skill sets to make people insecure like that. But it was, some people need to hear it and need to feel that, like he did to Speed. So yeah, it was definitely feeling like a bit of simulation there. Like, just, it's funny when you just get two polar opposite people in the same, like, on camera together, just interacting. So yeah, that was pretty cool to see. And what's going around lately is this John Jones petition to be stripped of his undisputed title. So I just checked it. So I think earlier in the week it had 100,000 verified signatures. So there's a petition for him to be stripped of his title. And so people are signing this. And I just checked now, and it's got over 174,000 verified signatures. That is insane. Like, it's slowly getting traction of, it's sort of memeable, just this meme, doing it for all, just trolling. Like, it's, it's pretty funny. It's on change.org, and like, they've described the issue. So the issue is John Jones is now the longest reigning champion in UFC heavyweight history, and has only fought 2 times in that period. There is a clear interim champion, Tom Aspinall, who has defended his interim championship belt. Aspinall is ready to fight Jones. Jones refuses to fight at him. Therefore, we as fans must let Dana White know it is time to strip John Jones of the heavyweight title. He clearly has no intentions of fighting anytime soon. So the petition was started by Tony Has Died. Shout out. He has a great Instagram page. Lots of funny memes. And it's got 174,000 signatures. I think, that's just great, like, content. That's just, good. You got to keep putting pressure on Dana White in the UFC. Like, is this a sport, or is this a circus? It's prize fighting, but it's just becoming out of hand. Like, if you want to be, you want to be up there with NBA, the MLB, the NFL, and be taken seriously in your, in your sport and the professionalism, you gotta fucking sort your shit out with this, because it's getting, like, I'm sick and tired. Everyone's just sick and tired of this John Jones, Tom Aspinall situation. Like, book the fight, for November MSG, which I feel like another people in the MMA world are saying if it's not MSG November, then he gets stripped. Otherwise, like, just get on with it. Like, this guy cannot defend the interim title again. And it just, every single week, the podcast I listen to, this topic always comes up and it's the same answer, like, oh, I'm just over, I'm sick of it, I'm tired of it. So it must be something around the broadcast deal coming up and they're just using it as leverage, having John Jones in this fight, maybe to launch as their first fight under the new deal that whoever they go with. But yeah, but it's, you want to be up there with NBA, NFL, professional, and taken seriously with your athletes and the way it's run, then put on the fights. Supposedly what your rankings say should make sense. So yeah, 174,000 signatures on that shit. Wild. And around the grounds in some Australian regional scene, Hex Fight Series had their event in Melbourne, and there's this one kid that I've been following along and pretty keen to see how his career goes in the future. He just became the new Hex featherweight champ with a round 4 submission. So his name is Marwan Rahiki, and yeah, he's 5-0 professionally with 5 finishes. He's great stand up. He's got that submission win. And I got huge raps on this guy. He reminds me just, he's got great hands, a bit of Anderson Silva-esque. And, he's very young. Early 20s, must be like 21 or something, like super young. And I'm sure he's going to be in the UFC in the next few years. I got huge raps on this guy, Marwan Rahiki. So now the Hex featherweight champ, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to see in the next 5 years coming back to this show and seeing where he's at, because yeah, I got huge raps for this kid, and I think early call, but could be a future featherweight lightweight champ. He's that good, so if he sticks to it, he's got that entertaining stand-up, Anderson Silva, Adesanya-esque, but if he can keep rounding out that game, it's looking great for Rahiki and Australian Oceanic MMA. But yeah, so Vegas 107 done. Quick preview of the UFC 316. Yeah, and just around the grounds news there. So looking forward to this weekend, to questions being answered, and seeing Merab and Sean and closing that chapter and keep the bantamweight division going. I want to see Corey Sandhagen fight for a title. But yeah, so wild events in today's main event being cancelled. And yeah, thanks again, guys, for listening. And I'm going to keep trying to be consistent with this after every UFC event. But yeah, gonna keep making as much MMA content as possible. And I appreciate to those that made it to the end and supporting. I want to keep doing this. Yeah, it's really fun. So I hope you guys enjoy the fight week, and I'll be speaking to you next week. So have a great day. Catch you later.